I decided today that I wanted to reflect just a little bit more in the first verse from the Gospel reading this past Sunday from John 14. Let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. Being a minister and deciding exactly what you believe about certain things is, I think, a somewhat more complicated process than being a person sitting in the pews. Only because you're going to be held accountable for what you say, and also that you need to be able to justify every belief and link it to any other belief you have in a systematic way. That's actually called systematic theology, which is something we learn in seminary. So I indicated on Sunday in my sermon, and I will say again, that I've really struggled with things like that one verse in John 14 where Jesus promises peace unlike anything the world can give us, where Jesus promises our hearts need not be troubled. That sounds like such a wonderful promise, but is it that easy and simple as it sounds? How I wish it were. But I think we have to be careful sharing that kind of message to someone who is isolated at home while a loved one is dying in the hospital. It's not something that you necessarily want to share with someone whose breathing is extremely labored from this virus. It's maybe not something you want to share right away with someone who is suffering from extreme mental health issues during this isolation. We have to be so careful as Christians about the messages we relay to others, which seem so clear to us, the ones who have felt the depth of those promises, because we don't want others to think that we have a faith that denies the pain and sorrow of their experience. And yet, when we read the lyrics of our piece of music today, lyrics written after the author had lost his family in 2 different tragedies, and somehow he is still able to say, "It is well with my soul," we are pointed back to Jesus' promise in the Gospel of John, and we see clearly the depth of that promise. In no way does Jesus does God ever promise that our life will be without difficulty, pain, and sorrow. And in no way does Jesus promise that when we experience difficulty, pain, and sorrow, that His love and grace will remove all of that from us. But the wonder of the promise that Jesus makes, that our heart need not be troubled, is a promise that says, when you are in the midst of extreme grief, pain, sorrow, my love will touch your hearts in a way that no human love can. My grace will be sufficient for all of your needs. I find myself in some way struggling with these messages twice a week because I so want to provide words that are full of hope and promise and new life. And yet, like all of you, I'm sure, I find myself one day filled with hope and the next day mired in the realization that this is not going to be a quick and easy process to get to the other side of the health risks from this pandemic. But still, in the midst of all of this craziness, I do hope that you find solace not only in those words from the Gospel of John, but also in the words of this beautiful hymn we share today. It is well with my soul. May it be so. Come, Lord Jesus, come. Come into the midst of this crazy time, and even right in the uncertainty, the doubt, the fear, bring hope, bring peace, bring comfort to our troubled souls.